Hi everyone, I'm Teacher Cheryl and welcome to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be looking at a very specific comprehension question type, and that is the irony questions. So you may have come across some comprehension questions where they ask you to state or explain the irony in the text. So in this lesson, we're going to be looking at how to answer these types of questions. First of all, in order to answer these types of questions, we need to know what irony is. Irony is actually the opposite of what is expected. There are three types of irony: situational, dramatic, and verbal. I'm not going to go into detail for these three types of irony, but if you do want a more detailed explanation, do let me know in the comments box below. So as I just mentioned, irony is the opposite of what is expected. Let me give you an example. So let's say we have a boy and he's in school and he's sad because he's thinking about the school holidays. He's hoping he would be able to go on a vacation somewhere, maybe at a nice beach somewhere during the holidays. Then, during the school holidays, he goes to the beach on vacation, but he's still sad, as you can see in the picture beside me. Why is he feeling sad? Well, because he's thinking about all the homework he has to complete during his holidays, and he has to ensure that he gets everything done before he goes back to school. So the irony here is that he's sad when he's at school because he wants to go on a holiday, but he's still sad when he's on holiday because he needs to get lots of homework done. Let's take a look at another example. The famous chef claims that he will never eat the food he cooks. So in this situation, the expectation is that he's a famous chef, therefore he should be eating the food that he cooks, right? However, the irony here is he doesn't eat the food that he cooks, even though he's a famous chef and he probably should cook really good food, right? So therefore, this sentence is ironic. Let's look at a second example. No Singlish, please. We are Singaporeans. Now, what I'd like you to do right now is to pause the video and let me know what the irony is in this particular example in the comments box below. Okay, so let me give you my explanation. So first of all, the expectation is that Singlish is part of Singapore's culture and national identity. So we should be speaking Singlish, shouldn't we? Because it's, part of our culture. However, the irony is that we should not be speaking Singlish, even though it's actually part of our culture. And so that is the irony in this particular example. So now that you're a bit clearer on what irony is, let's see how to answer irony questions. The basic structure is to first state the expectation of the situation and then to give the actual situation, which is the opposite of the expectation. How I would phrase my answer would be something like this. I state the expectation of the situation first, and then I add, however, in this case, it is ironic because, and then I give the actual situation. Alright, so let's take a look at another example. I'm going to read this paragraph here for you first. As soon as Bobby heard that the math test was going to be worth 30% of his grade, he began studying. He studied in class, he studied on the bus ride home, he even tried to study while walking home from the bus, but stopped after bumping into a lamppost. When he got home, he didn't watch any TV because he was studying so intensely. He completed the study guide that his teacher gave him, and then he completed one that he had made himself. Bobby refused to quit. He stayed awake all night, finding and completing extra problems on the internet. By the time the sun rose, Bobby had mastered the content. As he entered the classroom, he felt prepared. He sharpened his pencil, sat at his desk, put his head down, fell asleep, and failed the test. Oh dear. So we need to state the irony in this particular paragraph. Remember the structure that I just went through? We need to give the expectation first, and then we state the actual opposite situation. Let's try to identify that in this paragraph. So I would say the expectation is in the first part of the paragraph because he heard that there was going to be a math test. It's going to be worth 30% of his grade. So he ended up studying, and he really studied very intensely for it. So if we study very intensely for something, our expectation is that we would pass the test. However, in this situation, what happened was when he went for the test, he ended up falling asleep and failing the test. So let's see how we can craft our answer. The expectation is that Bobby studied so intensely and should do well for the test. However, the actual situation is that the intensity of his studying resulted in his failure or failing of the math test. So how I would craft my answer would be something like this. Bobby studied so intensely and should do well for the test. However, in this case, it is ironic because the intensity of his studying resulted in his failure. So notice the words in red are the expectation of the situation, and the words in blue tell us the actual situation, which is the opposite of the expectation. And also notice how I've used however. In this case, it is ironic because. So I use this to indicate that I'm going to be explaining what the irony is in this particular situation. Let's take a look at another example. So I'm going to read the paragraph again for you. Towards the end of my blissful primary 6 days back in the mid-70s, I was quite content to move from Swiss Cottage Primary School to Swiss Cottage Secondary School, but I did not want to be separated from my best friends after leaving primary school. All of them were opting for Raffles Girls Secondary School. I realized that if I wanted to be with them, I had no other choice, so I wrote RGSS on my secondary school option form. Surely life in secondary school would be fun with all my best buddies around me. Unfortunately, when the results were announced at the end of the year, I discovered that of the girls in my gang who had put RGSS down as their first choice, I was the only one who was actually given a place at the prestigious girls' school. So the question for this is, state the irony about the writer getting into a first choice at RGSS. Once again, remember the basic structure where we need to state the expectation first and then we state the actual situation. What I'd like you to do now is to pause this video, read through the paragraph again on your own, try to identify the irony and craft your answer. Then share your answer with me in the comment box below. Okay, I hope you've done that. So let's identify the expectation first. So the expectation is that this writer will be going to RGSS with her best buddies. However, in the second paragraph, we learn that she is the only one who went to RGSS. Okay, so let's see how we can craft our answer. So my answer is like this. The writer had selected RGSS as her first choice so that she could be with her close friends in secondary school. However, in this case, it is ironic because she was the only one who ended up being offered a place in the school. That is so unfortunate, isn't it? Let's review what we have learned today. Whenever we're asked to explain or state the irony in a text, what we need to do is to follow this basic structure where we first state the expectation of the situation and then we give the actual situation, which is the opposite of the expectation. And remember, when we are stating the actual situation, we can use these words. However, in this case, it is ironic because. So that's it for today's video. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. Also, feel free to share this video with your friends or family whom you think might find it useful as well. See you in the next one. Bye!